Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. This is a video on daily news and editorial analysis, which I'll be covering from the Hindu and Indian Express. The most important news and editorial of the day that is relevant for both prelims and mains examination will be discussed in this session. Let's get started with news topic list. Today is 1st of July. The first news is Business Reform Action Plan report. We'll see the detail and the performance of the states. Second, PSLV placed 3 foreign satellites into the orbit. Third, Russia withdraw from the Snake Island. This particular island become important for prelims examination after reported in the news. Fourth, state tolls to improve the vaccine coverage. We have seen the spike and the surge in the COVID-19 cases. Amid that, the health secretary has issued an advisory guideline. And the last is an editorial, do not weaken the anti-defection law. This is in the context of recent basically shuffling of the government that took place in the Maharashtra. Apart from the news and editorial discussion, at the end of this video, there will be MCQ based question. These questions will be based on current affairs that will help you for the upcoming prelims examination. So without any further delay, let's get started. And if you are new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services on YouTube. If you like this video, if you find this video informative and helpful, do not forget to press a like button. So starting with the first news of the day, that is Business Reform Action Plan report, something important for General Studies paper 3, Indian economy and issues related to planning, mobilization, resource growth and development. So according to the Business Reform Action Plan, which is also known as BRAP, a report which was released recently, basically Union government and the Ministry of Finance has said that 5 states, that is Andhra Pradesh, Gujarat, Haryana, Karnataka, Punjab, Telangana and Tamil Nadu were categorized as a top achiever in terms of ease of doing business. तो ये rating दी गई है, basically this was concerning that how the state is promoting the ease of doing business and welcoming the investor to their states, right? So the performance was accordingly based for both state and the union territories. Now, Business Reform Action Plan report की अगर बात करें, according to the Commerce Ministry, the Business Reform Action Plan report include 301 reform points that cover almost 15 business regulatory like access to information, single window system, labor, environment, sectoral reform, and other reforms spanning the life cycle and typical business. So this is how the Business Reform Action Plan is helping government to get an overview and the performances of the states. Now, aim क्या है पूरी इस तरह की exercise की? So first is to boost the investor confidence and to give an idea that which states is performing accordingly. Second is to foster a business-friendly climate for both the investors and the state government, and even to augment the ease of doing business across the country by inducing the element of healthy competition through the system of assessing states based on their performance in implementation of Business Reform Action Plan, right? So this is the main aim and rationale behind the Business Reform Action Plan, also to promote the ease of doing business for the different investor, even the domestic investor and the investor coming from abroad to India. The performance report की अगर बात करें states की क्या performances रही हैं, this can be again important for prelims examination. For the top achiever categories, the states that have performed commendably well goes to Haryana, Karnataka, Punjab and Tamil Nadu. So these are the top achiever. Now the second category is for the achievers, that is for Himachal Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Odisha, Uttarakhand and Uttar Pradesh. For aspire category, there are 3 important states which include Assam, Kerala and Goa. Apart from this, the other states that is also comparatively in line and spirit with the aspire include the state of Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Kerala, Rajasthan and West Bengal. So these are the performances of this state. I'll give you some more infograph that will give you a clarity about this report. Now, emerging business ecosystem की अगर बात करें, in the category emerging business ecosystem, there are almost 11 states, including the union territories, which include Delhi, Puducherry, and Tripura. Andaman and Nicobar, Bihar, Chandigarh, Daman and Diu, Dadar and Nagar Haveli, Jammu and Kashmir, Manipur, Meghalaya, Nagaland, Tripura are some other states and union territories in this section. So these are some of the states with emerging business ecosystem. Some infograph to help you understand about the entire process. So for the state of progress report, that is business reform and action plan, as I have told you, 7 states were the top achiever, followed by 6 states which are categorized under the achiever categories, 7 states from the aspire categories, and 11 states belong to the emerging business ecosystem. In nutshell, 31 states and union territory has been characterized under the state of progress report, and 14 states on board were on the national single window system. Apart from this, in totality, 15 reform areas were there, which covered 301 action point. Online window system expanded to 41 services, 72 sectoral reform introduced, including telecom, tourism, healthcare, etc., and 180 new reform, which include plug and play to boost the investment and manufacturing. Apart from this, there are 16 states that have the registration for the renewal of environmental acts, 5 states that have fully digitalized land record, and 20 states have fully developed online system and enhanced delivery. Now, in these 30 states have fully developed single window system, 14 states have a single window clearance system, and 19 states have fully developed an institutionalized central inspection system. So this type of data is going to be important for your mains examination specifically. तो आप एग्जाम की ज़रूरत के हिसाब से अपने फोल्डर पॉइंट यूज कर पाएंगे. Now moving to the other news, that is PSLV placed 3 foreign satellite into orbit, something important for General Studies paper 3, and that the topic achievement of India in science and technology, Indianization of technology, and the development of new technology. So recently, Indian Space Research Organization, that is ISRO, has successfully launched PSLV C-53 and DSEO mission. This is a second dedicated commercial mission into the New Space India Limited, that is NSIL. This was in collaboration with us. From the second launch pad, that is the Satish Dhawan Space Center, Sriharikota, that was done yesterday only. ISRO used PSL-4 stage as an orbital platform for the experiment, and this is 55th mission of the PSLV, often described as ISRO trusted workhouse, and even 15th one using the PSLV core alone variant, right? And they've marked 16 PSLV launched from the second launch pad of the Satish Dhawan Space Center at Sriharikota. Now, PSLV C-53 की अगर बात करें, something brief that can be again important for your examination. So, PSLV C-53 is a second dedicated commercial mission as a New Space India Limited, which is a commercial arm of the ISRO. Now, it has launched GSAT-24, that is the first demand-driven communication satellite mission post space reforms, जहाँ पे leasing की गई थी on board direct to home services, that is DTS service provider provided by the Tata Play. So these are some of the significance that PSLV is already contributing. Now foreign satellites जो launch की गई 4 stage में 44.4 meter tall PSLV C-53 was blasted off from the second launch pad at Sriharikota and was placed 3 Singapore satellite, that is DSEO, NewSAR and SCOB-1. SCOB-B1 आप बोल सकते हैं, that is intended in the orbit. So NewSAR is a Singapore first smallest commercial satellite carrying AR payload that is capable of providing images in day and night under any weather conditions. Now SCOB-B1 की बात करें, this is the first student satellite that hands-on student training program from the Satellite Research Center Singapore, NTU, वहाँ की जो स्कूल है NTU School of Electrical and Electronic Engineering, वहाँ के students ने इनको डिज़ाइन किया. Now the POEM activity, reformer in the orbit experiment using the spent PS4 stage as an orbital platform. Now the other one, that is POEM, that is PSLV orbital experimental module, that is DSEO carrier. इन्होंने optical, खास करके electro-opticals, multi-spectral payloads which provide colorful images of the land classifications, serving humanitarian assistance and disaster relief needs would be done by the PSLV orbital experimental modules. Now, the other news, Russia withdraw from the Snake Island. This is something which is important for prelims examination in terms of map work. So this is reported in the news. Make sure you are thorough with the map work, because anytime, even for any other competitive examination, this question could be framed. So General Studies paper 2, that is effect of policies and politics for developed and developing countries. So in a major victory for the Ukraine in its ongoing war with Russia, Ukraine said that it has driven the enemy forces, that is the Russian forces, out of their massive artillery and missile assault with Russian forces. So finally उन्होंने Russian forces को जो वहाँ की स्नेक आइलैंड है वहाँ से हटा दिया. Recently, Russian forces abandoned the strategic Black Sea outpost of the Snake Island. और स्नैक आइलैंड की अगर बात करें, ये वर्ल्ड में तब अटेंशन में आई जब रशिया ने फर्स्ट डे के टाइम जब वॉर स्टार्ट हुई थी रशिया और यूक्रेन के बीच में, उसी दिन इसको कैप्चर कर लिया था अपने अंदर लिया. Now Ukraine said that it is driven by the Russian forces out after a massive artillery and missile assault overnight. So this is a Snake Island, again very important for your map work. This is in the Black Sea region. Even it can be a statement based question कि जो Snake Island है वो किस सी में है, right? Significantly important, उसके आसपास के जितने एरियाज हैं वो आप जरूर देख ले, which is important for your exam. Now looking to this Snake Island को Gemini Island भी कहते हैं. This is a small island but strategically important. कुछ important countries हैं यहाँ पे. These are the neighboring countries. Crimea, which was recently annexed in 2014, is also the part of this region. So आप इसके accordingly ऐसे ही map पर तैयार करें so that you can easily able to answer it. Now Russia के response की अगर बात करें, Russia's defense minister said that it has decided to withdraw from the outpost, and it is a gestures of goodwill that Russia has sought not only to obstruct the UN forces but also to open the humanitarian corridor allowing the grain ship from the Ukraine. This is what the Russia's response was that. Now grain export की अगर बात करें, most significantly इसके जो help होंगे यूक्रेन को, एक डोर ओपन करेगी जहाँ पे वो अपने वीट को एक्सपोर्ट कर पाएंगे from Odisha, which is a critical Ukraine economy from the global food supply chain. So these are the other advantages apart from removing the Russia forces Ukraine will be getting in terms of the grain export. Now the other news, states told to improve the vaccine coverage. This is important for General Studies paper 2, that is issues related to development and management of health. So amid the spike in the COVID-19 cases across the country, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has called for increasing the vaccination coverage for children and elderly people. And ministry categorically has said that over 3.66 crore doses for the COVID-19 vaccine has been administered for the age group of 12 to 40. Now, advisory that was given to the state government, the state has been advised to initiate the random RT-PCR test for the screening of the 2% of the international passengers. This is what the advisory which was issued by the Union Health Ministry to all the state government and union territories. More than 193.53 crore vaccine doses has been provided to the states, and more than 11.59 crore balance are utilized using the vaccine doses are still available with the state. तो कुछ अभी भी states ऐसे हैं जिनके पास वैक्सीन के स्टॉक्स बची हुई हैं, उसे यूटिलाइज करने की बात कही जा रही है. The states have been directed to accelerate the vaccination coverage, especially for the age group of the people which belong to 60 plus, and the second dose for the population of 12 to 70. So accordingly, the administration would start, the state have to take the cognizance and they have to start the entire inoculation process of the vaccine. Now revised surveillance strategy की अगर बात करें, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has now advised the states to follow the operational guideline for the revised surveillance strategy in context of the COVID-19 that is issued by the central government on 9th of June. ये जो revised surveillance guideline है, एक तरह से this will call for a sewage and water surveillance also, जो waste water उसकी surveillance भी की जाएगी, which may provide warning for a potential cause of local surge of the COVID-19. The ministry also advised the states to initiate the random RT-PCR test, जहाँ पे 2% जो मैंने आपको बताया beginning में 2% of international passengers के लिए RT-PCR allow की गई है, that is for the incoming flights, and genome sequencing for all the specimen which was found positive. Now, according to the revised strategy, all state healthcare facilities are to be reported, like influenza like illness cases जो मॉनिटर सीवियर एक्यूट रेस्पिरेटरी इलनेस है, ये डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल पे जितने हॉस्पिटल है वो सारी चीज़ों को रिपोर्ट करेंगे टर्सरी हॉस्पिटल्स को, एंड इवन द RT-PCR रिपोर्ट्स वुड बी शेयर. District surveillance officer जो DSO अपॉइंट किए जाएंगे will be responsible for the analysis of the data, and the revised strategy further stress that community based surveillance for early detection of unusual event and community for the larger outbreak would be responsible. Now, moving to the editorial of the day, do not weaken the anti-defection law. This is important for General Studies paper 2, that is Parliament, State Legislature, structure, function, conduct of businesses, power, privileges and issues arising from it. So under this editorial, I'll be giving you some of the important findings under the 5 important subheads. That is first about the 10th schedule, interpretation of the merger, on disqualification, what are the points of intervention and the way forward. The entire editorial concerned about the anti-defection law and specifically talking in context of the recent Maharashtra government reshuffling, right? So the recent political development which took place in Maharashtra threw up a troubled questions about how the political class is emasculating the anti-defection law. किस तरह से वो hindrance कर रहे हैं, किस तरह से इस law की पूरी तरह से बेसिकली जो इसके core essence है उसको implement नहीं किया जा रहा है. It was described by the Supreme Court of India as a constitutional correctiveness against the legislative, precisely political evil up to the unprincipited defections, right? तो बेसिकली सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने भी ये कॉग्निजेंस किया कि जो एंटी डिफेक्शन लॉ है कहीं ना कहीं एक तरह से प्रोटेक्ट करती है हमारे डेमोक्रेसी, जो पूरी डेमोक्रेटिक सेटअप है, खास करके जिस तरह से लेजिस्लेटिव जो पूरी सेटअप है उसको प्रोटेक्ट करने का काम करती है. बट अगेन टू अ लार्जर एक्सटेंट इट हैज़ बीन वायलेटेड. The Supreme Court drew the attention of the citizen to a very danger of the subversion of the democracy by an unprincipled defections. Now, 10th schedule की अगर बात करें, the 10th schedule of the Indian Constitution was formulated to prevent political defection promoted by the material benefit or other consideration. Basically, कोई भी ऐसा इंडिविजुअल जो किसी मटेरियल बेनिफिट्स के लिए या किसी और दूसरे कंसिडरेशन के लिए पार्टी चेंज करते हैं, पार्टी के वेब को फॉलो नहीं करते हैं, उन पे एंटी डिफेक्शन लगाया जाता है जो कि शेड्यूल 10 के अंदर आती है. एंटी डिफेक्शन लॉ वाज प्रपोज्ड बाय द पार्लियामेंट इन 1985 व्हेन राजीव गांधी गवर्नमेंट वाज देयर and was reinforced during 2002. Enactment of the 10th schedule of the Constitution of India actually culminate long year of debate. काफ़ी इस पे डिबेट हुई, deliberations हुई, disagreements हुए, फॉर्मुलेशन की गई, रीफॉर्मुलेशन की गई और फाइनली जब कंसेंसस बनी तब फिर इसको लाया गया, राइट? वी नो सम इंपॉर्टेंट केसेस लाइक आयाराम, गयाराम व द केसेस वर रिपोर्टेड इन हरियाणा ऑल्सो. तो कुछ ऐसे कंटेक्स्ट बने उस टाइम पे जहाँ भी ये ज़रूरी समझा गया कि एंटी डिफेक्शन लॉ अब हमारे संविधान को चाहिए. बेसिकली फॉर द पार्लियामेंट प्रोसीजर इट इज एसेंशियली रिक्वायर्ड. नाउ इंटरप्रिटेशन ऑफ मर्जर्स की अगर बात करें, सो दिस इज एन एक्सेप्शन कंटेंट इन द पैराग्राफ 4 ऑफ द 10th शेड्यूल which has been taken for the recourse by the large number of legislators across the states even in the parliament to defect the ruling party. ये जो legislature होते हैं, this interpreted terms in terms of merger to mean merger of 2/3 of the legislature. अगर 2/3 से ज़्यादा की मर्जर हो रही है तब वो कंसिडर की जा सकती है. एंड इवन they convinced themselves that the merger of the original party is not necessary mainly because it was not possible. It is ज़रूरी नहीं है कि जैसे शिवसेना में रिसेंटली बीजेपी के साथ मर्ज किया तो वो अपनी पूरी पार्टी को मर्ज कर ले. देयर सम अदर प्रोसीजर, अगर 2/3 मेजॉरिटी वहाँ पे जा रही है देन दे कैन अलाउ. नाउ politics being the art of possible, they believe that this was not ordinary possible and can be convincingly ignored, right? Now disqualifications के क्या क्राइटेरिया है ओरिजिनल एंटी डिफेक्शंस में और किस तरह से इसको हिंडर किया जा रहा है, we'll understand that. Now disqualification petition has been filed by Shiv Sena against 16 of their dissent under the paragraph 21A on the ground that they have voluntarily given up the membership of the party. Now उसके बाद क्वेश्चन आई whether they have voluntarily given the party of the membership has to be decided on their conduct and the basically how they are behaving. एक केस है in the R.S. Naik versus Union of India. The Supreme Court has said that an inference can be drawn by the conduct of the member that he is voluntarily giving of the membership of the party to which he belongs, right? तो ये already इस केस में mention की गई है. Now, willful non-participation is a crucial meeting of the party whose government is facing a serious crisis of them, and many in the present circumstances offer the ground for disqualification. तो अगर ये conditions बनते हैं तो disqualification allow की जा सकती है. That is subject to the permissions of the speakers, right? जो chairman होंगे. The point of interventions की अगर बात करें, intervention Supreme Court ने की where they threw up some crucial question on regarding the operation of the anti-defection law, and the question was whether the court can intervene in the prior stage of the decision of the deputy speaker or not, because speaker ने अभी तक कोई decision नहीं लिया, तो क्या उस बीच में Supreme Court intervene कर सकती है या नहीं. The court bench, the Supreme Court has said that Khilo Hotan case थी 1993 की, where judicial review cannot be available prior to making the decision of the speaker and not internuclearly state at the proceeding. तो ये already इस case में mention की गई ये बातों को. Now no longer the time, the dissent to submit the replies in contrary with this regard. Now the mandatory period for replying the charges is within the 7 days under the rule, or court can give them 15 days. It is an intervention by the interlocutor state that is barred from the constitutional bench. Now कुछ और cases हैं, like some of the other question that is considerably there in terms of the deputy speaker can have to decide upon the disqualification petition when a no confidence motion is passed against them. तब ये हो सकती है. The Supreme Court held that the NAPCOM rebia, जहाँ पे speaker shall not decide the disqualification till no confidence motion is passed against him or disposed of. ऐसा बहुत सारे cases में contradictions भी रही हैं. Now in Maharashtra cases, deputy speaker who has assumed the duties of the speaker because of the office was vacant. तो जो deputy speaker थे, he was working as the speaker and did not admit the notice of no confidence because he has the doubt about the authenticity of the notice. This was the reason cited that the decision was not taken, that what speaker is going to do. Now way forward की अगर बात करें, इस तरह से जो चीजें हुई है, definitely this is not something which call for a healthy democracy. This is called horse trading, or reshuffling the government, making a calculations to formulate the government is something not should appreciated to a larger extent. But anti-defection is facing many challenges since it's deal with the political classes and challenges the grave. And though the law is not perfect, the serious attempt to strengthen the moral content of the democracy, Parliament need to recapture the spirit of this observation, and the anti-defection law need to be strengthened and not to be weakened. The nation expect their better compliances by the lawmakers, that is by the politicians, the members of the legislative assembly and the member of the parliament as well. Now moving to the MCQ questions of the day. Before I proceed, just to tell you the answers of yesterday question. For first question, the correct option is B. For second question also, the correct option is B. Today's MCQ for practice, corruption perception index के बारे में आपको बताना है. Corruption Eradication Commission निकालती है. 86 रैंक थी इंडिया के among the 180 countries. So do check it for the correct answer. जो भी correct options है, correct answers है, उसको आपको check करना है. Second, 3 city status किस particular city को दी गई है, इंदौर, बैंगलोर, हैदराबाद और न्यू दिल्ली. So again, you have to check that. This can be important for many other competitive examinations also. So this was all about for the daily news and editorial analysis, followed by the MCQ questions. If you have any other concern, you can let me know. I'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching this video.